You're gonna do the video, Andre, right?
Oh, that was fast. Welcome to Afternoon Conversations. Thanks for joining us. I am Sharonda, and this is my co-host JD. Welcome, JD. Yay.
Hey, how y'all doing? How y'all doing? Welcome, Sharonda.
Yes, yes, yes. So today we are discussing all things COVID, how it affects the Black community, and are we taking this vaccine or not? What you think, JD?
I am absolutely not taking the vaccine. Not at
You
all.
are not
I'm
taking the
not.
vaccine.
No, I'm not taking the vaccine. No,
So
no,
let's
no,
get
no.
into
I
it.
got.
Tell us
All
why.
right.
Tell us why.
Well, for me, it's a lot of deep reasons why I'm not taking the vaccine. I mean, y'all know that I'm spiritual, so I study a few things. I'm seeing some patterns in where the world is going. I don't expect everybody to do it, and I know this is not like a straight spiritual conversation, but for me, I just see some funny business going on with it, and it's just a little bit uh it's just convenient. They've been doing this for years where they create a problem and then give you the antidote, sell you the antidote. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So um I kind of feel like it's one of those things. I know people are really really dying from COVID. Like I've felt it, firsthand, like close to home. So I know that it's real. I know that, but I just don't believe everything they're saying about it. I absolutely don't trust the FDA. It's not like, the FDA has been giving us, spanking clean things this whole time. Like their integrity is A1. So I don't really trust it. It's really early on. And like I said, I feel like, again, I'm not trying to get too deep into the conspiracies, but from what I know, and like I said, from what I believe, I honestly believe that this is a true mark of the beast for this world that's coming, because everything that it says the mark of the beast is what this vaccine is. You're not without this vaccine, and please believe, you know um if you don't believe, if you're not a Christian or you don't believe the word or whatever, then I understand how you think that this is silly. But the word does talk about where you're not going to be able to buy food, you're not going to be able to go certain places, you're not going to be able to work. This is exactly what this vaccine is going to be. And if you're not strong or prepared for it, then you are going to, I think most people are going to take it. You're not going to be able to be around other people if you don't take it. If you're a person who didn't take the vaccine, and the rest of society has taken it, you're going to kind of be ostracized for it. You're not going to be able to be a part of society as we know it. So I'm not saying it's going to be like that out the gate, because it usually never is. But I've been
Mhm.
hearing talks about the vaccine being mandatory. So yeah, to me that equates to the mark of the beast, and for me, I don't have any plans on taking it.
Okay. Okay. So all your concerns you just listed, I have heard
Hmm.
myself. And some of
Hmm.
it, I'll tell you where my apprehension comes in because I'm 50-50. Part of me doesn't want to take
Okay.
it. Part of me is like, I'm taking it. You know, um,
Okay.
my apprehension comes in at historical issues of mistrust of government and doctors. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Like,
Hmm.
um, they have done the Black community wrong in the past,
Hmm.
especially, where we talk about it's historical, the syphilis experiment. A lot of people know about the Tuskegee
Right.
syphilis experiment, where they injected the men with syphilis to see how African Americans responded to it. We
Right.
also know some historical things where um, women or Black people were treated differently in medicine because they thought we could endure more pain, or they thought that we
Right.
were kind of, not as susceptible to pain as other races. So
Right.
that part of me says, I want to know what y'all got in this. I want to know what's going on, and I want to know
Right.
more about it. I need more information to make me feel like this is something trustworthy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Um, the other side of me, the 50% that will take it, is like
Mhm.
vaccines have worked for us in the past.
Mhm.
Just as many conspiracies as there are of why not to take it,
Uh-huh.
um, there are people pushing agendas so that we won't take it, so that we are, that leads to our demise. Because
Right.
I talked to my son about this, right? And my son was saying, "Mama, these people gonna die, because they don't want to take the vaccine."
Right. Right.
And
Right.
so I started talking to him about the historical fear, and he was like, "But what about the people that don't have, Caucasian people don't have the necessary historical fear that we have? So why are they
Mhm.
anti-vax?"
Right.
Um, and that got us into the conversation of the guy who kind of started the anti-vax vaccine movement and was
Mhm.
later like put in jail for it because he lied on his study that he did. But a lot of people in the white community still use him for credibility to say why they won't get vaccines, and there's
Right.
no true evidence that says vaccines cause autism, which is what started the
The whole thing.
anti-vaccine thing. So
Mhm.
it's like, but I go back to say, because I kind of skipped around, but my main point was,
Mhm.
what if we're talking in conspiracy, right?
Right.
What if they say, let's scare the black community into not taking it so
Mhm.
that they can continue to be the greater amount of people who die from a disease?
You
Because
know
at
what's
this,
funny? Okay.
Mhm.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, because at this point, numbers wise,
Mhm.
because of our lack of access to health care, lack of insurance, racial disparities, because of that,
Mhm.
we're already in the higher number of people who die from it. So
Right.
if we refuse to take the vaccine, won't that make our numbers go up? You know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah.
That's
I,
kind of where I am with it, like the thinking process of, if you try to look at it from all sides. You know what I
right.
mean?
It's funny that you say that because when you said it originally, when you were talking about the numbers with black people, I was in the experiments done on us. I actually thought the opposite of what you just, well, the other side of what you just said, the duality of that is
Mm-hmm.
that, see, the thing is, I feel like what would probably happen is, um, if we as black people, you know, decided we didn't want to take it, like if a lot of black people didn't want to take it, they're probably
Mm-hmm.
trying to scare us not to take it, but they would use us because the tactic is this. The tactic is it's always fear of something, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's either first it's a bribery and then it's fear. They were talking about how these what was it, $1,500 checks, that they were going to send out, the stimulus checks that everybody's still waiting for.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't be able to get it if you took the vaccine. Then you would get a check for it. They would give you the stimulus check if you took the vaccine. So I'm like, okay, that's the bribery part. And then I started seeing the fear part. So the fear would be, if we don't take the vaccine, I feel like if majority of the black people, it seemed like we didn't want to take it, then they would start killing us off, which they want to do anyway. So I
Mm-hmm.
feel like I feel like the vaccine is not a good look at all. I think that they would definitely experiment on us, so they try to pump fear into us to take the vaccine. But
Mm-hmm.
if that doesn't work, then it will be okay. Then they'll make an example out of us as a community, and that's where I'm kind of concerned, because I feel like they will, in other means, you know, kill us off, and blame it on the fact that we didn't take the vaccine, which was exactly what they were doing. And it's actually their facts that and I've heard personal testimonies of people in the medical field that worked at hospitals, things like that, and they
Mhm.
were saying that a lot of these people who died, these COVID numbers were doctored up.
Mhm.
They were anybody who passed away, they weren't actively really trying to save people, because they
Mhm.
wanted the death toll to be high so that they could blame it on COVID, and people were seeing this happen,
Mhm.
with their own eyes. So, um, to me, I feel like there is definitely an agenda. I can't say what that agenda is. I know what I only know what my intuition tells me. You know what I'm saying,
Mhm.
and what God shows me, and I can't fault anyone for taking it because I understand, but
Mhm.
I would I would suggest that you didn't take it. And I'm, specifically speaking to people who are believers. I'm like, y'all shouldn't be taking this vaccine. But
Mhm.
again, not taking the vaccine, you got to be conscious of the fact that I'm not telling people, oh, just take it and live normal. It's like you're gonna have to actually make a choice to be willing to suffer for it, because it's gonna be some suffering. You're not gonna be able to do everything that you want to do if you don't
Mhm.
take this vaccine. But you got to
Mhm.
think about what the consequences of that, what it's going to be after the fact. Is it really worth it? So
Right.
everybody has to make
Right.
that choice for themselves.
Yeah, definitely. I do. And the part you're talking about where stimulus checks were involved is a Democratic congressman
Hmm.
suggested giving Americans who were willing to take the vaccine a $1,500 stimulus check. But I don't.
Uh-huh.
It was a suggestion. I don't really think they're gonna do that because, and the reason
Okay.
I say I don't think they're gonna do it, um, because it is bribery and it's a form of them bribing us to do something. I just don't think that's
Right.
ethical. You know what I mean?
Right.
If you gotta operate on integrity and stuff like that, that would be a bad look to me
Right.
for the government to pay you to take a vaccine. It don't make sense.
And
You know
to
what I'm saying?
right. And to me,
I'm really surprised that he suggested it. Like in your position, why would you even make that
right.
suggestion?
Out of desperation, because there's an agenda and they need to speed it up. And that's why I said, for the simple fact that they would even suggest something like that, it makes me wonder why. Why are you suggesting this? All of these things, like, I'm looking at everything as a whole. But when it's easy to influence people. It's easy to, like, trick them and deceive them, because if you're afraid, you know what I'm saying? If you're
Mhm.
afraid of something, then you're gonna pretty much be willing to do anything you can to survive. And
Mhm.
if they can create that illusion of fear, if they can create that feeling on a wide scale, then they'll be able to control things. And this is not anything new, is what I'm saying. So if
Mhm.
anybody who's been living longer than, if anybody's like 20 years or older, you know what I'm saying? Like, you've at least seen a decade go by, then you've seen something that just wasn't right. Like you said, it wasn't ethical. It's not like the government is the most has the most integrity. We know this already. We
Right.
don't want to really think about it most of the time, because in order for us to think about things like that, in order for us to accept the fact that the government might be corrupted, it means that we have to rethink a whole lot of other things. And people are really too emotionally lazy to do that. They're like, I
Mhm.
just want to feel good. I want to feel safe. I want to feel okay. Even though something's wrong, it's kind of like the Matrix. It's like, even the people who knew they were in the Matrix were like, you know what? I know that this is not real, but it makes me feel better than reality. So I'm just going to go with this. I'm going to keep a blind eye to all of the discrepancies, all of the things that I see that don't make sense, all of the things that are not adding up. I'm just going to, like, ignore that, because if I start looking into that, it's like pulling on that one little thread of your sweater. Once you pull that one little thread, it's going to unravel a whole bunch of other stuff that you don't want to deal with. So you rather just deal with the thread. like seeing the thread and ignoring it, you know?
Yeah. And I guess it kind of comes down to your your line of thought, you know what I mean?
Right.
And your trust or mistrust in the system overall.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I lean more toward structure. I don't follow the conspiracy theorist type things. I don't. I listen to some of it because some things have been founded, but other things I just don't. I don't follow, and the reason I don't follow it is because I feel like it can make my anxiety worse because I'm looking for answers to questions that may never
Right.
get answered. And to me, in conspiracy, you have this entity that you can't really name, or this person that you can't really name, or you
Right.
have um, and this is me being objective, right? Because I'm not
Right.
as into it, you know what I mean? But
Okay.
or you have a person that we're blaming stuff on, but no actual paper trail to say that this person actually did it. And I'm a
Right.
person that's more concrete, practical. I want to
Mm-hmm.
see it, I want to feel it, I want to know that it's there. And so
Mm-hmm.
for me, it's like I'm going to base my decision off the vaccine because that's what we're talking about. I'm going to base my
Right.
decision off of something I can see, feel, and touch versus something I can't. I can't prove that right now this is a man-made disease that has been spread across the globe to
Mm-hmm.
annihilate certain classes of people. I can't because everybody's being affected, whether you're black, white, Asian,
Yes. Yes.
So that
Yes.
part I can't prove. You know what I mean? And then
Yes.
um, the other part of it is I can't I can't say what everybody else is seeing. It's
Mm-hmm.
so to me like it's a real disease. It's a real. I don't know who made it, or I don't know.
Right. Right.
They tell me where it could possibly came from. Just like they said another disease like HIV could have came from here. I know where they said it could possibly came from, but
Right.
at the end of the day, it's a big disease and it's a big crisis that needs to be taken care of. And so,
Right.
what do you think our solutions might be for, say, someone like yourself who says, "I'm not going to take it, no matter what. I'm against it." What is a solution for you, or like for a group as a
Mhm.
whole that does not want to take it?
Um. I can't speak for the solution as a whole because I think it's sort of an individual choice, and I think everyone
Mhm.
has kind of like their individual reasons for taking it or not taking it. I mean, I can tell you my individual reason. People may not share my reason. Before I even do that, let me just go back to something you said about the black community. It being created, like you not knowing if it was man-made, created to wipe out black people or whatever. Like I
Right.
don't that's something that I don't believe it,
Mhm.
because like I said, even if that was the intent, then it was executed very poorly because it's spreading to everyone,
Mhm.
and it didn't start in a place of, according to what we were told, it didn't start in a
Mhm.
place that's highly populated by black people. So,
Right.
to me, that theory doesn't make sense.
Right.
I can't say where it started. I can't say where it started. What I can say is the way they said it started doesn't add up to me. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
it doesn't make sense to my brain, because
Mhm.
that leads me to certain questions and things that don't line up. Because if it was created in this way, then why is this and that? And no one has answers for that. And we know that our current sitting president, when he gets these type of questions, he just decides not to answer them and move on to like the next reporter. He doesn't even try to give a reason.
Right.
He
You
just
don't. Yeah.
ignores you.
Right.
So, it's something that just doesn't smell right to me. As far as my personal reason, like I said earlier, my personal reason is a spiritual reason for me.
Mhm.
I'm looking at it deeper than, like you said you need things you can see, smell, touch, and I get that. For me,
Mhm.
I'm more like, things need to kind of add up to me, and my basis, I'm a Christian, so my basis is, that is Christianity. And I don't
Mhm.
mean just the Bible and church. I mean deeply, things that are deeper, that I feel God has shown me, and
Mhm.
things that make sense. But that's like a deeper conversation. But and I know, like, again, I know a lot of people, that's just like a long conversation to try to explain in 5 minutes.
Mhm.
But my reasons are, I'm looking at things, not just like Bible stuff. I'm looking at history. I'm
Uh-huh.
looking at history. I'm looking at, if you look at, like you mentioned, syphilis, you
Uh-huh.
can mention smallpox, you
Mhm.
can mention, the crack era that they brought
Mhm.
into our neighborhood. You can
Mhm.
mention the opium thing that they did with Asian people. It's all throughout history. And I know I say they, I joke around with they when somebody asks who are they, I just say
Mhm.
Craig and them. But um so Craig and them been drugging people and making people sick and selling antidotes for the longest time. It's a business, and that's what people have to understand. Drugs, it's a business. So when I look at this vaccine thing, I'm looking at it like, this is a strand. They say this is like a strand similar to a strand of the flu, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And I look at the buildup, because I saw the okey doke coming a long time ago. I didn't obviously know this was going to happen, but I saw something fishy when they started talking about these flu shots, and this was years ago. When
Mhm.
it went from, they just started promoting the flu shot so hard, and then they started making the flu shot readily available at every CVS and
Mhm.
Walgreens and wherever you want to just go pick up a flu shot so hard. It makes me feel a little bit on edge, because I don't really, did I go out?
Yeah,
Can you hear
for a
me?
second. I can hear you now.
Oh, okay. I don't know where I went out at.
It was like a
But
little sketchy at the
I'll
time, but it's
can you hear me
fine
now?
now. Yeah, it's fine.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I don't know where I went out at, but basically, basically I was saying that, it was looking fishy to me when the flu shot became so readily available. So when it comes to this vaccine, it's a similar situation, except they're actually being more forceful with this. And
Mhm.
I'm like, for them to, them, Craig and them, whoever it is, you know what I mean? Like, someone has an agenda. It's obvious
Mhm.
that someone or some group has an agenda. I don't know who they are. I don't care to know. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I don't care to know who they are. I just know that it's fishy to me. So, and I'm my personality type. My instincts are, if the crowd is going this way, I'm gonna stand right here to see if there's a cliff. You know what I'm saying? If somebody yells, everyone run this way, and everybody starts running to the left, I'm gonna kind of stand in the middle and wait for the crowd to go ahead first, because I don't want to be right off.
Mhm.
Sometimes, sometimes I'm late to the party because of it, and other times I avoid devastation. So, it's a coin toss.
Yeah. Well, it definitely is. It definitely is. It's a coin toss. I think that I think that in order for I do say I probably lean toward more of getting the vaccine, and just because
Okay.
I don't I just don't I know the history and I know what we've all been through, but I don't blame it on every single I don't blame it on the government, or I don't blame it on, like, I know what government is responsible for. You know what I'm saying? Like
Hmm.
um I know, was it Lyndon that was responsible? No, was it Lyndon or for Black Panthers? Which president was that? Was it Johnson?
Roosevelt was
No,
it?
no,
Was
no. I'm thinking about Hoover. Hoover was over the
I
FBI
can't
then.
remember.
I'm thinking about Hoover.
Yeah, 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 yeah. He was over the FBI then.
Okay, yeah. So I'm
Yeah,
thinking about
yep, yeah. He was over the FBI.
people that are people that are malicious. You know what I mean? People that are mean. So I'm thinking
Hmm.
like Tuskegee Airmen.
Hmm.
I don't or Tuskegee the group. I don't feel like the government necessarily, like, everybody plays a part and people play a part, and I feel like there was a person that
Right.
said, let me do this, and then this other person followed, and they end up doing like a great disservice to Black people, or certain people felt certain ways about people. But I just don't feel like it's
Hmm.
the human race or the Caucasian race all together. um and so I
No.
feel like,
Right. Exactly.
you know what I mean? I just think that, and not saying that's your consensus either, but just saying, like, from my
Right. Right.
standpoint, I just try not to group the government or all the people in the government all in
Hmm.
the same box,
Right.
because just the way I view like a serial killer or a thief, or, somebody
Uh
came
huh.
up with the thought to do this evil, sinister thing, and then they carried it out, and it's a disservice, like Hitler did to the Jews, or, like
Right.
Haram did to the people in Africa. Like, it's certain people that carry out these plans, and certain people do fund them and help them get access and
Yes.
resources
Yes.
to the stuff. You know what I'm saying? But I just
Yes.
don't know. Like, there would have to be, to me, a great mastermind to just bring this all down, and none of us win, and he is the only one that's winning. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't
Right.
feel
Right.
like that evil it could possibly exist. I just don't think he can win. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's my attitude.
Right.
And so I
Right.
really I like this conversation, because I want to, like, I guess for people listening, maybe we can find a balance, or find, at
Right.
least be informed about all your options, see the different ways. Two Black people can think two different ways, and still,
Right. Right.
do what's best for their family. Because I was telling my son, I said, if we chose not to get vaccinated, then we would still have to practice social distancing, and practice, staying away from people, because people could be carrying this thing and we just don't know who it is. It's
Right.
like, so we
Right.
would still
Right.
have to do something to keep ourselves safe. The other problem, which he brought up too, was he was like, well, Mom, I feel like some of the anti-vaxxer people are also anti-vaxxer, they're anti-vaccine, they're anti-mask, they're anti-social distancing. Like, you got those people that don't, they know
Okay.
COVID is out there, but they're willing to risk it all. Like, they don't care, period. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
you have
Right.
you have like a whole other population that thinks it's a fake disease, a fake they're doing something to us, and sometimes I feel like the conspiracies are intermingled, because they'll,
Right.
think it's man-made and somebody did this, and they're trying to control us, and they're trying to do this, and then at the same token they'll say, well, we don't need to wear masks, and if I get it, God called me home. Like, I feel like some of this is um it's a mental thing. And I'll tell you one other thing I found out this morning that I did not know about.
Uh huh.
And I got to do some more research on. But when I was watching the anti-vaxxer video, John F. Kennedy, the one that died, that was assassinated,
Mm-hmm.
one of his nephews that's living is paying for the anti-vaccination ads that we see on Facebook.
Okay.
And so that led me to thinking about another the show that I told you guys about, The Great Hack, where they showed all these different ads to influence populations.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes me think of the same thing when why is he paying for anti-vaccination ads? Why is he constantly promoting this? What does he have in it? You know what I'm saying?
Right. 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 Right.
What is he getting paid
Agenda.
for? Right, right.
Yeah.
And so that's why I try to give both sides of the story. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if we don't get it, what if the anti-vaccination thing is to cause people not to get it, so more people die? And what is the benefit of, because to me, if it's like a serial killer, it's not about money and it's not about anything. It's about power and control. And
Mm-hmm.
that's a sickness in itself. You know what I'm saying? So if people are doing that just to control, because they don't care about getting rich, and a lot of the people that have access to do this, they already have money. It's not
Right.
about
It's
money.
power. They want
Right,
power. And
right.
that's been the fight. That's been the fight for the longest time. And this is what it's about, is power, because power is power's always being fought for. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm,
saying? And again, like for me, it's hard for me to talk about this and separate, the actual from the spiritual with me,
mm-hmm,
because it's all intertwined, so it's kind of hard to really explain it's hard to explain why I feel the way I feel in the actual without
mm-hmm,
explaining the spiritual part. But because you had mentioned about, the people and the evil and everything, and I know race ultimately is a distraction as well. I mean, there is something
mm-hmm,
to it, definitely, but a lot of times it's used as a distraction. And so, if we're concentrated on one thing, it's almost like, they distract you on this side and punch you on this side. You know what I mean? And before we realize what's happening with these vaccines, we're not going to know really what's going on with these vaccines until like 10 years from now, after everybody has started taking them, or longer,
mm-hmm,
because you're not really going to understand the effects of it. Just like, you know people didn't understand, just using this as an example, people didn't understand the effects of crack when it first hit the neighborhoods. You know what I'm saying?
mm-hmm,
Until later, it started getting bad, because there were a lot of people who were using crack, smoking crack, and doing it casually, the way that people were using
mm-hmm,
cocaine. And then it became, somewhat of a pandemic in our neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? In the
mm-hmm,
black neighborhood, and then it started to spread. And that's when it was like, oh, we need to stop this and do something about it. You know what I mean? So
right,
it's the same thing. It's like the theories just repeat themselves. It's If you look at history, it's the same exact patterns. So if you can look at history and just see and recognize the patterns, then you can kind of see, where things are headed. And that's the reason for me, why I'm apprehensive about taking the vaccine. One of the reasons why I'm apprehensive about taking it, because I'm like, there's no I have no reason to trust it at this point. The only
mm-hmm,
reason
mm-hmm,
I would be taking it is so that, is because I would be afraid of getting COVID, and I want to feel safe not to get it. But at the same time, if these are the first runs of this vaccine. You know what I'm saying?
mm-hmm,
So, the FDA approves my blood pressure medicine. But when I look up my blood pressure medicine, I realize that it's actually harming my body. You know what I
mm-hmm,
mean? Like, there's certain aspects of it that's harming my body. There's a lot of medicines that the FDA approves, drugs that the FDA approves, and they're harmful. You know what I'm saying? There's things that they approve in our food that are harmful. And it's
Mm-hmm.
factual that it's harmful. It's not a theory. It's not we wonder. It's actually harmful. And we're so hooked on it that we don't know anything else, that we people just continue to do it. And they know, you know what I'm saying? Whoever has an agenda, like you said, they study these things. They study people, they study mentalities, they study personalities, and they learn how to influence people through commercials,
Mm-hmm.
through fear, through repetition, whatever it is, they whatever it is they want to get through, they study how to do it and then they implement it. And even if we know that it's doing something to us, we do it anyway. So it's really not
Mm-hmm.
that hard to get people to walk off the bridge, jump off the bridge. So I'm just not a bridge jumper. You know what I'm saying? I'll stand there and if people and I see like 120 people swimming off like nothing's wrong, I'll be like, okay, I'll wait for this next 100. And if they swim off too, then maybe. But I'm not gonna be one of the first divers. I'm just, what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
I've seen it
Yeah.
too many times. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, I'm cool.
Right.
You know.
Right. Yeah. And it makes sense. It
So,
looks like we have a comment.
okay.
Hey, Monica. So Monica says some is very harmful to African Americans.
Mm.
Tell me. Well, I think she may have been talking about your comment about the blood pressure medication. Monica, clear it up for us if you're still
Oh,
on
okay,
here.
okay, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I've been praying to get off the blood pressure medicine. But if I want to get off the blood pressure medicine, I got to get off my butt and get out there and walk and exercise and do all of that. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
like I said, once you get stuck in your ways, it's hard to get out of it. So we know that sugar is harmful. I've found out and read that sugar is like actually the leading cause of blood pressure. Not salt. Not the table salt that we think. It's the processed food and the salt, the amount of salt that's in processed foods, and sugar. Sugar is
Right.
sugar really is a drug. Sugar is a drug, man. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
that most people are addicted to. I think just about everybody in America is addicted to sugar somehow,
Oh
unless
yeah.
they got
Oh
themselves
yeah.
off of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like we know it's harmful, but we still consume it because we've been okey doke from the time we were young to be hooked on it. And
Mm-hmm.
now a lot of us don't even know how to get off of it. Like you will literally
Right.
go through withdrawals. If you don't have any sugar, you will go through withdrawals like
Yeah.
drugs.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like, but the FDA approves it. Everything that has sugar in it, they approve it. Why? Why do they approve it?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
There's a reason why. So I don't sorry, but I don't trust the FDA. Why should I trust the FDA? Think about all the people who vouch for each other. Everyone who vouches for each other, it has no integrity. Proven,
Mm-hmm.
proven, proven that
Mm-hmm.
they have no integrity. Proven that they're corrupted. The system, not necessarily all the people who work for the
Mm-hmm.
system, like you said,
Mm-hmm.
but the system itself is corrupted. Again, the police force, the system of the police force is corrupted. Every officer in the police force is not corrupted, but you're a part of a corrupt system. So at some point, you're going to have to ask, it's going to come down to personal integrity at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And most
Mm-hmm.
people would not put their personal, most people would not put their, they don't have the integrity to put their integrity over their you know, their integrity above their own well-being. You know what I'm saying? Most people won't do that. So, you know, I have to take all of that into consideration when I'm hearing all these things about, the vaccines and things like that. Because granted, there is no alternative, and that's what makes it hard. Because it's like, well, it's either I take the vaccine or I don't take the vaccine and I'm at higher risk, right? But I have to trust that what's in the vaccine is good for me. And the people who are telling me that it's good for me have no integrity, proven that they have no integrity. The people who vouch for the FDA, has no integrity. So you know what I mean? It's like these officials, these public officials, have been proven not to have integrity, and they vouch for the government in which they serve. So who, you know what I'm saying? It's like who do you have to kind of use your own compass, you know?
So what you just did for me is increase my anxiety. I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why.
Oh, I'm
Let me
sorry.
It's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
I want to, but I want to explain like my thought
Uh-huh.
process. But I'm gonna read Monica's comment first. She was the first thing she said was she
Uh-huh.
was referring to the blood pressure medication that is harmful for us. And the other thing she said is she understand that all vaccinations are new at one point. This COVID
Hmm.
vaccine just feels so rushed. And Monica JD hit on that earlier because
Right.
they talk about it's supposed to take about 2 years to create a vaccine, and we've only been in COVID about a year, almost not even a year yet, but almost a
Hmm.
year. And they've already started trials and this kind of thing. So it does feel rushed. I agree
Hmm.
with that. I wanted to say about the the anxiety part where you
Okay.
started talking about the integrity and trust of the FDA. And you said, okay,
Hmm.
if this person has to have integrity and trust, and then this person who is checking them, then there's another person who's supposed to be doing this. And, like, it feels
Right.
like that rabbit hole that I don't have all the answers to. You know what I'm saying? Like, it
Hmm.
feels like
Hmm.
I got to question one person after the other after the other. And I think for some people, um, it's like, you can only, and you hinted at this at the end, you can only go off of an informed decision is just going after a decision that you have the information for.
Right.
Um, and so if I need to make an informed decision, I just have to do all the research there is to make a decision that's the best for me and my family. When we talk
Right.
about research, there are credible places that you're supposed to be able to go get research from. You got your .govs, you got your .orgs,
Hmm.
these places. But then we also know there's a whole underground world of people um, doing certain research and certain things, and they're calling themselves credible. And and people are following that too. So it's all based on your line of thought,
Right.
what you believe, what you think, and how you feel best. But my whole point
Right.
in the COVID vaccination thing is because we know COVID is real, no matter who created it and no matter what animal or person or laboratory it came from,
Hmm.
we have to protect each other. And I think that's something in the Black community because we're in America, we have become individualized like Caucasian people. And we're supposed in our what I believe is our nature is tribal and collectivism. And so I think that in order for us to think collectively, I got to think of JD as my brother, or Monica who's watching, I got to think of her, my sister, and how is my decision going to affect my community? You know what I'm saying? So I think for the
Right.
most part, when you choose to get vaccinated or not, if you're afraid or not, at least think about how do we protect each other going forward, because it's dangerous when we
Right.
start talking about not wearing masks. And you got people. I've had at least three of my family members that have had COVID and survived, thank God. But I also had an uncle in New York that passed away, and he had underlying illnesses, but he also had COVID, and we weren't able
Right.
to go to
Yeah.
the
Thank God.
funeral, we weren't able to see him, and so like that's very tough for somebody to deal with. And you have all these other people out here saying, well, it's not real, and this and that, and I ain't wearing no mask, and blah blah blah. And I'm like, but we have very real people who are suffering from this, and if we're a community, we need to operate as a community and take care of each other. So it looks like my co-host disappeared. I'm sorry, guys. But if y'all have comments, questions, feel free to come in here. JD, you back?
Yes.
Yay. um,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. So yeah, but I just think as a community, we need to definitely take care of each other, at least in that respect, and be a collective unit
Right.
and not be so individual and thinking it's all about me and what I want to do. Because guess what?
Right.
If so and so's kid gets sick, we're all at the funeral. We all want to cry about it, but what did we do to help prevent, you know, that
Right.
tragic situation happening to somebody else? So I think at the end of the day, regardless of what we believe, I think protecting ourselves should be our number one priority. You know.
Right, no, no doubt, and that's why I feel like that that's why I said earlier that the people who choose not to take it are going to have
Mm-hmm,
they're going to have to be prepared for what comes with that because
mm-hmm,
you it's going to be one of those things where you're not going to be able to function in society freely and
mm-hmm,
we all and it is that's one of those things that it's going to be people are going to be divided, people are going to be pent against, it's going to be easy for people to be pent against each other.
uh-huh.
It's going to be one of those things because it's going to be like eventually the people who don't take it will be treated like lepers almost. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like you're not going to be able to be around other people. Nobody's going to want you around people. It's going to be one of those things. So they're already talking about having some type of card to show that you've been vaccinated, and if you don't have this
Mm-hmm,
card, you can't do X, Y, and Z. And again, I bringing it back spiritual. I mean, all of these things are written. All of these things are actually written and you can
mm-hmm,
see them actually happening and taking place. It's not something that you know that's made up or happenstance. So I take all those things into consideration, and you have to again you have to go by your own moral compass. And for me, I'm going to put this plug in. For me, it's God, and
mm-hmm,
I would I would hope I would like for everyone to understand
mm-hmm,
Christians and non-Christians, but especially I'll do this. This is what I'll do. I'll
mm-hmm.
say this real quick. So people who are not Christian, okay, or who just don't believe in God, Christian or not, like whatever your religion is,
Right.
if you know God and you serve God and you worship God, okay, then I would say, okay, open your eyes and recognize what's happening and ask God to show you what you personally are to do during this time. Don't let no church pastor, no priest, whoever tell you, what you need to do without you checking with God first. You actually can talk to him. He will talk back to you. He wants a personal relationship with you, not through someone else, but straight
Mm-hmm,
direct to you. All right. So learn how to do that so that you know what to do because now is not a time to be passive. If you're a spiritual person, is not the time you're not going to be able to be passive. Now,
mm-hmm,
if you're not a spiritual person or you don't believe in God or whatever it is, then I would ask that you would at least give it a shot because this is this if there's any time that you need direction and you can't trust anyone else, he's the one that you should be able to trust.
mm-hmm,
And I know this is a broad statement, it's easier said than done, but seriously, like this is me and I can only speak for myself. I'm not I've been going to church most of my life, but I'm not what you would call a church guy. You know what I'm saying? Like but I'm practical. I'm practical in things that I see and do, and I also look at all of the information. I won't even say facts. I'll look at all the information. You know what I'm saying? And assess the information and make a decision based on all the information. And that's what I would ask everyone to do. Look at all the information, piece the information together as best as your mind can, and make a decision. You know, that's best for you and your family, and like you said, the community. Think about how it affects the community. Don't just be selfish because we are a community, especially in the black community. All that the go for self stuff. you know, but you can't change anybody. I mean, I'm saying all this, but you can't change anybody's integrity. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I will say this: your integrity is going to go a long way during these times because we're going to need each other. You know, we're going to need each other,
Mm-hmm.
and that's
I
and that
agree.
and that's just the bottom line. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you out for self, if you've been out for self all this time, you might find yourself by yourself when you really need somebody.
Right.
So you know, because these are going to be the times that we're going to have to, you know, we're going to have to band together, and we're not all going to agree, and we have to stop expecting to all agree, you know, and just
Yeah.
learn how to get along without agreement. We don't have to always share the same opinion, but as
Mm-hmm.
long as we have the same common goal. So get with some people who have the same common goal, you know, who are like-minded as much as possible, and let's go from there. Because
Right.
other than that, this that's the only reason they're so able to control. It's a divide and conquer situation, and that's the basic principle of evil: is divide and conquer, deceive, and it's easy to do that through fear.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a
You
lot of
know,
fear out there in the
so
world. It's a lot of
don't,
fear.
you know, if you, and I'll just say this one last thing: if you are
Mm-hmm.
living your life right now, it shouldn't. If you believe in God and you say you have faith, faith and fear should not occupy the same space. So one is going to be dominant over the other, and you know, if fear is dominating faith, then work on that. We're all human, we all feel fear, but it doesn't have to control our actions. So if you believe in God, there's no reason to fear. You know, we do, but let's work on that.
Right. Right. And I want to
You know.
add to it. And if you in agreement, JD, I think this will be the closing
Hmm.
of the show. Um, but I just wanted to add to
Hmm.
that
Yep.
as you talked about fear, is a healthy thing to do is to learn to manage fear versus pretending that
Hmm.
it doesn't exist. So learn to, what am I afraid of? Why am
Right.
I afraid of? And then tell yourself the truth. You know what I mean? Like, if you're afraid,
Yes.
we're talking about COVID. If you're afraid to take the vaccine, like JD said, get all your information together. Um, Figure out what you
Hmm.
base it off that information, and then make a decision. But you don't have to be afraid. Um, so you might initially be afraid, but once you get the information and kind of get all that in your system, then we learn how to move in a way that's helpful for us, and it serves a greater purpose for us. So just get
Right.
into a space where, yeah, I might be afraid to take the vaccine, or you may not be afraid. But if either way, get your information together and then manage the fear that you're dealing with, so you don't have to continue in a fear based lifestyle every single day. Because
Right.
they can drive you up the wall. I mean, goodness, like you don't want to be
Yes.
afraid, every day. Um, but thank you guys for joining Afternoon Conversations. Me and
Yes.
JD will
Yes.
be back here next Wednesday, and I don't know what we're gonna talk about, JD. We gotta figure that out.
We'll figure it out.
Yes,
And listen, everybody. I wish everybody a great rest of the week. And
yes,
my final thought, I guess, would be, man, just lead with love. You know, if we can't, just kind of reiterate, and if we may not all agree, but please, let's not judge and divide each other, man. Like, don't be arguing back and forth about somebody who don't want to take the vaccine, or someone else who wants to
right,
take it, and you don't want to take it, and you calling them stupid for taking it. And it's that's not love, man, and that's just gonna divide us. And when we need each other, we won't be there. So let's lead with love, man. Let's that's my final thought. Thank you,
yes.
Sharonda.
Thank you, JD. You have a good day too.
You too. All right, y'all. Peace.